Pat Sajak admitted on ESPN2 yesterday that he had, in his words, 4 margaritas on average with Vanna White.
Which made me think that there's something going on between Pat and Vanna.
Well,
they
about
didn't
that, right?
they?
the
Buy
least
vowels together.
Welcome to NewsBeast. Today we can't stop talking about Pat Sajak and Vanna White getting sloshed before tapings Wheel of Fortune back in the day. But first, our cheats. Andrew, what are you excited about today?
I'm really excited about last night's Republican debate.
And how drunk are you? Because this
Slosh,
we also
slosh, snockered.
Snockered.
I'm just mildly snockered
You're
this
faced.
morning. Yeah.
Ramin's on the floor.
Is there an S? I'd like to buy an O, Vanna.
Sorry.
A GOP. How about a GOP? Last night's Republican debate in Florida, it was a very exciting night if you were Mitt Romney, who obviously lost in South Carolina and was looking knocked off balance coming into Florida, but the polls started to show him gaining ground on Gingrich and pulling ahead. He went into last night's debate, it was the last one before the primary, which was going to be on Tuesday, and had something to prove. He had to prove that he could really stand up to Gingrich, who'd been knocking him around on the debate stage. He did that. Gingrich looked really kind of mild-mannered and unable to defend himself.
It was kind of bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
A total role reversal.
Yeah, and when that is your main argument, Gingrich's main argument is, I could beat the crap out of Obama on the debate stage, and then he can't even beat up Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
His whole rationale for his candidacy kind of implodes.
Romney was like RoboCop, though. He's always very robotic, but last night he looked like RoboCop with his gun, and he was still robotic and mechanical, but angry. I don't know if I necessarily like that Romney.
Well, maybe they just dialed a different equation into the CPU.
Well, he has. Does he have something on his neck?
Programmed him with a few zingers.
That's
Ramin,
right.
what's your cheat?
So I'm completely sleep deprived because last night at midnight I went to see the new Katherine Heigl movie.
Oh my God,
One
how
for
was
the Money,
it?
and it's so bad. It's terrible. It's worse than New Year's Eve, which was her last movie.
The distribution company did not do
No, they
screeners
didn't
for
show
journalists
anyone the
on
movie
this,
for a reason,
which
because
is never a good sign.
Absolutely horrendous. I was in the theater with like 5 people. Half of them were sloshed, and the 3 of the 5. And
what's the movie
it's
called?
called One for the Money.
How do you keep coming up with these different cliched phrases to title her movies that you just can't remember?
Book.
Okay.
That I haven't
there you
read.
go.
Rebecca,
Take it
have
up
you read
with Janet, Andrew.
Oh, well,
We should
never
call
mind
her.
that.
But it reminded me of something that George Clooney said at our Oscar roundtable,
Oh, boy.
which was that Hollywood no longer makes movies for women. And when they do, they're incredibly crappy. And I think it's a problem. I mean,
What about Bridesmaids? The whole
Bridesmaids
story of the last
was
year has been about Hollywood
one
making
movie
movies for women.
out of the 130 movies that came out.
Well, sure. It was the first. I mean, there are lots of people sold screenplays off of it. We have lots of female-focused comedies coming up.
Katherine Heigl, I think, is over.
All right.
I think this is the
it kind of
beginning of
makes
the
me
end.
sad. She had so much potential.
On Grey's Anatomy, she did.
My cheat very quickly is that the victims of the Costa Concordia disaster, lest we forget about that from last week, are getting $14,000 each. So if you remember right after, in the incredibly horrible crisis mismanagement that ensued after that terrible disaster, all of the passengers who survived, which was not all of the passengers, but the ones who survived were offered 35% discounts on any future Carnival cruises.
Because that's what they wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. Get me back on a boat as fast as possible. But so this makes slightly better amends. I don't know at a full.
You think that? I mean, really?
Have you ever been on a cruise?
That's a lot of all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah, really. I mean,
No, but I think that they should have gotten more.
Well, I'm not sure it'll inoculate.
How much did the people
Carnival
on the
But
Titanic
it's like
get?
1,200 million lira at least. So you could. Oh,
And
we don't have those anymore.
Italy
do we?
really can't afford this right now.
Right.
Anyway, enough of that. Let's go straight to the meat and potatoes of today's conversation, which is that Pat Sajak admitted on ESPN2 yesterday that he had, in his words, 4 margaritas on average with Vanna White and the rest of the crew, presumably, of Wheel of
No, it
Fortune.
was just Vanna White.
Just the
Which
two
made
of
me
them.
think that there's something going on between Pat and Vanna.
Well, hasn't that always
Yeah, I
been
mean,
the question?
it's been like 30 years of speculation
Did they or
about that,
didn't
right?
they?
The
Buy vowels
least
together.
shocking
right.
revelation
They
ever.
slept together at some point.
You
No, I mean, just if that's the revelation, it's not particularly shocking. I mean, all those margaritas, all those.
I think it's crazy that he
letters.
admitted to being drunk on the job.
I think it's crazy
Behind the
that
wheel.
more television hosts aren't drunk on the job, or
Well,
at
we
least
don't know.
to our knowledge.
I feel like
Exactly.
Alex Trebek is
well,
No,
wasted.
he's not wasted. He
One
might
thing
be
about
stoned.
these guys is that they're actually They're almost to a man. These are just bringing this back to your cheat. These are big GOP guys. These game show hosts. I mean, Alex Trebek is a major fundraiser. Pat Sajak has written for National Review. So it's kind of funny to see this person who has a very conservative public persona come out and say we were knackered.
Right. Well, there's the tea party and then there's the cocktail party.
And then there's the cocktail party.
He was a member of the cocktail party.
Do you think this is going to hurt Wheel of Fortune's ratings?
I don't.
Among voters in Florida?
I'm gonna tune in.
If anything, it'll help. But
really.
he said now, just to wrap up, that he no longer does this, and in fact, his tolerance is so low that if he even sniffed the cork from a bottle of wine, it would knock him flat on the floor. All right, that's all from us at NewsBeast. Let's do our cheats, and I mean not our cheats, our final word. Andrew, what's your final word?
Snockered.
Snockered.
You taught me that one today.
You're welcome.
Sloshed.
And I'm going to go with blotto. And that's all from us here at NewsBeast. We'll see you next week.
When do we get
Is that good?
margaritas?
We should have been drinking.
Yeah, we should have done
Margaritas.
like a Kathy Lee and Hoda thing.